In this week's brand new episode of Hill Climb Monsters in Project Cars 2, we're riding the Raging Bull as the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo takes on our Azure Coast Hill Climb course. But will its 610 brake horsepower of V10 muscle be enough to spring a surprise or two? Let's go find out. What's going on, guys? My name is Batilio and welcome back to Project Cars 2 and a brand new episode of Hill Climb Monsters. And this week's challenger, as you can see on screen, is the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. And the reason I decided to do this car for this week is, well, it came as a suggestion from one of you guys. So on episode 21 of this series, which I think was the Dallara IndyCar, someone called PMGF, and you can see in the comment on the screen now, said, "Great vid, glad you've been popping up in my suggestions. Try the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo." And I replied, "I'll pop it in the list." And it is quite a substantial list, but we're getting round to it today. And the other reason I've been interested to try this car is it's very comparable to the Ferrari 488 Challenge. From my understanding, you go and buy a Huracan or a 488 Challenge, should you have the money to do so, that is, and you can buy an upgrade package which will turn it into a Super Trofeo or a 488 Challenge. Adds various different things, adds maybe a little bit of, you know, additional bodywork to aid with aerodynamics and downforce, adds a spoiler, maybe tweaks the engine, maybe some suspension, jiggery pokery and so on and so forth, adds a roll cage, various other safety features, fire extinguisher, blah 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 blah. So they both sort of sit the mid ground between the road going Huracan and the road going 488 and the GT3 versions of both. So it's sort of the midway point between the two. It's not as stripped out and as hunkered down as the GT3 cars, but it is no longer road legal from my understanding. Or it might be road legal, I'm not too sure. Let me know in the comments if you know this, but I don't quite know. But it sort of sits in the middle ground, so it's quite comparable. And just to show you how comparable they are, let's take a look at some stats. So we'll start off with the Lamborghini. So you got the Huracan Super Trofeo, produced in 2016. It is a rear-wheel drive, which I think is different compared to the road car. I think that might be four-wheel drive, but don't quote me on that. That's just an assumption I have. I think it is. But this is rear-wheel drive. It has a 610 brake horsepower V10 engine with a 6-speed sequential gearbox bolted to it. Also features ABS and traction control. It'll do a top speed of 187 miles an hour and 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. It has both a control difficulty and a cornering speed level of 2, and it weighs 2,800 pounds. Now, comparing that to the Ferrari 488 Challenge, this is a year younger. This was produced in 2017. Again, rear-wheel drive. This one has a 670 brake horsepower V8 engine with a 7-speed sequential gearbox. So it's got 60 extra brake horsepower, 2 less cylinders, and 1 extra gear. This will do a top speed of 193 miles an hour, which is 6 miles an hour faster than the Lamborghini. But the Lamborghini goes from 0 to 60 a tenth of a second faster than this does. That's probably coming down to the weight. This weighs 150 pounds more than the Lamborghini Huracan. Both of them have ABS and traction control, as you can see, and they're both rated at 2 for control difficulty and cornering speed. So quite comparable. The Ferrari probably just has the slight edge going into this, but performance stats don't always tell the full story. So we're going to take a look and see the full story in a little while. But before we do, in terms of practice and qualifying, instead of practice and setup, the big problem I'm having with this is the same problem I was having with the Ferrari 488. A severe lack of front downforce and grip. The Huracan is so understeery, and I tried everything I could to try and dial it out. I played with tyre pressures, dampers, ride heights, suspension, suspension stiffness, roll bars, differential as well, because that can sometimes help with oversteer and understeer, and nothing was getting rid of it. So I think they both need some adjustable rear, an adjustable front wing, basically. Whether they'll get it, I'm not sure, but yeah, both cars have the same problem. Cataclysmic understeer, and the Huracan is just very, very inconsistent with its understeer. Sometimes it will turn in and get to the apex perfectly, and then it'll trail off towards the back end of a corner, and you'll be struggling. You have to get out the power. Other times you turn in and it's like someone's detached the steering column from the front axle and nothing happens when you turn in, so you're just kind of heading straight to the scene of the accident. So it's difficult in that respect to drive it, but it's also even more difficult to try and dial it out because it's not in certain types of corners or certain types of scenarios or certain points of the corner either. So that was a real challenge. I got it as far as I could, but it just got to a point where it was just the, you know, the diminishing returns basically with regards to setup. So I decided to kind of knock it on its head and just focus on trying to figure out how to drive it and get the best out of it. As you would imagine with the car, that's a little bit temperamental in terms of it handling. There were a few accidents, and this one, probably the biggest accident, or one of the bigger accidents we've seen at the Magic Roundabout. Maybe take a little bit too much curb, and then we go for a little bit of airborne impromptu weight saving. Rear wing or rear bumper, rear wing and front bumper gone, and more than likely the contents of my lunch either deposited on the seat or on the dashboard, depending on which way it decided to, you know, evacuate. But there we go. Yeah, so there were a fair few other ones, but I don't have any footage of them, unfortunately, and they weren't as spectacular as that one. So there we go. Looking at the leaderboards, the fastest time we have currently at the moment, in the GT class anyway, considering this is the way they lump their bloody leaderboards together for the time trial, is the Ferrari F50 GT with a 631.931. We're not getting anywhere close to that in this Lamborghini Huracan though. And to find the fastest Lamborghini Huracan time on the board, you have to go all the way down to page number 16 and position number 153. It was somebody called XRAD with a 821.071. So if we can't beat that, then I don't think I should do this series anymore, or any other racing for that matter. So yeah, I mean, of course it's not definitively the fastest Lamborghini Huracan time there. If you set a time on the first page in a, I don't know, a McLaren F1 GTR, any other times that are slower than that won't show up on the leaderboard if they're in the same class of cars, which is GT cars basically. So, but this is the only reference point we have. In terms of the Hill Climb Monsters leaderboard, as we know, the Toyota TS050 still reigns supreme with a 541.383. Of course, we're not getting anywhere close to that. But the main competition is down in 12th place, the Ferrari 488 Challenge with a 647.7. So that's the benchmark for the Lamborghini Huracan. Whether we can beat it, I don't know. But I suppose it's time to find out, I guess. So what we're going to do now is head down to the track, and we're going to see how the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo gets on its best run. Okay then guys, here we go. Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo on our Azure Coast Hill Climb course. And as we come down to the first corner, you're going to see the sort of struggles we have, just how much speed I'm having to scrub off to get through some of these corners. And again, we almost clipped that that board on the outside of the corner. But as we come now down towards Cruise Liner Corner, again, just get the nose in, but you can see just having to really put a lot of lock in just to get it where I needed to. I think we may have just clipped the trash can at Trash Can Corner. But now we're heading down the hill towards the Magic Roundabout, the scene of that fairly large accident in the build-up. Get down to 4th, take a decent amount of speed through there, about 110 miles an hour. There's a little bit of a shimmy as we got back on the power, but we get it under control, and on we go. And now we come up through Stickman Squats, and again, this was another area. The initial entry was another area that was really tricky, and you have to be really on the button with that, and very, very gentle on the throttle as well, because you can spin up those rears, and that'll be pretty much the end of that. But time for a breather now as we get onto the Magic Roundabout. Very involved, very busy first part of the run, but down here we can just relax a little bit as we come over the crest and down towards Traffic Cone Corner. And we're going to clip some of those cones on the outside again, just have to scrub a bit of speed off. There was a little bit of a shimmy as you come over that small crest at the mid part of the corner. And I did have a couple of occasions where it kind of spat me off into the barriers and ended the run prematurely. But we make it through this time. And again, now through Stonewall Corner, you can see just how much lock I'm having to put on. Just a real struggle. And there again, you can see it, just how much understeer it has, especially on the corner exit. Again, get it down, kind of a slow run through here. Again, I was having trouble through there, just trying to get the car through it. As we come into Ice Cream Cove now. And again, this was another area that was tricky. Again, just having to feather the throttle a little bit just to get it where I want it to. And through here again, I did have troubles. We're going to clip one of those bollards. It doesn't cause much damage, if any, to the car. So we're okay, and we carry on as we come down Cobra Pass now. And again, very gentle around here. in other cars you go a lot quicker, but with this one, and especially down here, down towards James May corner, you've got to be very, very careful with it. Down into first gear, just give it all the lock you can, get it in and hope it sticks when you get on the power again, as we come down towards the final corner of the first sector. And at this point we're doing okay. Not brilliant, but we're doing okay. As we come up now down towards Silver Spoon Village, and again I had troubles through here. As soon as you get this car off the ground, you break traction, you can have all sorts of problems with it. But we make it through that time, and as we come over the crest at McDanger Curve, get a little bit too wide on the curbing there, and then through onto Outrun. And again, very, very tricky through here. The rear wheel's starting to be a bit squirmy as we come down now towards Fraggle Rock corner. And again, had trouble with this one as well, mainly the exit. You can see there starting to drift out wide. I have to be so careful on the throttle. And you just want to get on the power so much earlier than you're able to with this car, which is a real frustrating thing, and it's the real thing that's going to cost us time. As we come now down through Bridge Corner, and again, just that little shimmy at the mid corner, it just kicks its way back out again away from the apex, which is, you know, again, annoying, because you think you've nailed it and then you start to just ease the power a little bit, and then it just says, no, not having that, not yet, too early. Yeah, like I said, it's just one of the things I just couldn't dial out the understeer in this thing. It's just so massive that I just couldn't figure it out. I tried every single combination of everything I could think of, and nothing was working. But as we move on to the more tricky part, or the trickiest part of the run itself, and again we get a little bit sideways there, manage to just keep it under control, almost lose it, as we come now down onto the Camel Straight. We're going to take this first hump, not too bad there. This one though, we're going to go nose down a little bit. Yeah, the other situation would be tearing the front bumper completely off, but this time we make it through okay. And then into second for this very slow corner, the first and second Mirage corners, the second one being a real challenge through here. And the first one was a challenge as well. So many times you'd lose the rear end and end up in the wall, and that'd be the end of it, pretty much. But as we come across down towards what would be the back end of sector number 2, we're going very, very wide on that corner exit there. Again, just so much understeer. I just can't. If you have suggestions, let me know in the comments, because I tried everything that I could think of, and it just was not having any of it. But as we come across the bumps and down towards the tunnel, onto the Great Ocean Highway, get up into 5th, and it was actually very good through here. You have to ease off the throttle just a little bit, but it was very, very good through there. And now down towards, and that was basically the end point of sector number 2 and into sector 3. And I was really worried about sector number 3, this final sector, because understeery cars tend to really get shown up and tripped up in this section. So I was very, very apprehensive coming up to this point. But honestly, it wasn't too bad. I mean, there were a few instances. I mean, down here in the practice, just coming over that bridge, I actually blew the engine. I'm not sure why. Had no problems up until that point. As you can see, I've got a limited hood at the moment. So I don't know whether it was just a case of maybe I closed the radiator off a little bit too much, but I opened it up a little bit just to make sure it didn't happen again, because at the point it blew, we're actually on a pretty good run. So it was really annoying and frustrating for it to go. As we just get through Deception, and now we're coming into Sweeps. And again, this is where I was thinking it was probably going to get tripped up a little bit, really going to struggle, but it honestly wasn't too bad. It was pretty good. Like I said, that just comes down how inconsistent the understeer is. And again, down through here, not where I wanted at all. But this one, perfectly fine. Make it to the apex, and this one here as well. So like I said, the understeer is very, very inconsistent. So it's really hard to just put your finger on it and figure out what you need to do in order to tune it out, and what adjustments to make in the setup menu. So yeah, but as we come down onto Rocky Road now, and again, this was the area where I thought it was really going to struggle. And this corner in particular coming up, because it's a little bit off camber. You have to get out of the throttle a little bit, but it handled it fine. So like I said, just so inconsistent. But as we come down to the final corner now, going to get the nose in again, just runs wide, have to really labour and wait to get onto the power. But as we do, we come across the line, and it's going to be a time of 6 minutes 51.5. So unfortunately, it hasn't been able to beat the Ferrari 488 challenge. It's a good nearly 4 seconds slower. Like I said, you see there just how much of a struggle I had getting this thing through some of the corners. And like I said, some corners it was fine, some corners it doesn't want to go anywhere, basically. So very challenging car to drive. Was expected to be a lot different, be a lot better than this, but there we go. So as we know, it doesn't show up on the full-blown leaderboards. We're a good 30 seconds off that Ferrari F50 GT. But if it was to show up on the leaderboards, it would be all the way down in 28th place. So, I mean, it's not too bad. There's a couple of respectable cars that we've beaten there. The Porsche 911 GT1 from 98. The the Toyota GT1 again from 1998. And there's some other cars above us that were not too far off either. So, there we go. But unfortunately, it's not quick enough to beat the Ferrari 488 challenge. So, yeah, there we go, guys. Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo needs more front downforce. An adjustable front wing would work wonders with this thing, I imagine, just to give us a bit more grip at the front end and to get rid of some of that understeer that we struggled with so horribly. But yeah, like I said, guys, Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo 13th on our leaderboard with the 651.590 there. So that's pretty much the end of today's episode, I reckon, guys. So thank you everybody so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, you would like to see more Project Cars 2 or just general racing content from myself, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, be sure to ring the bell for notifications for all my new videos. Also, slightly unrelated, but I've now got an Instagram page. So if you want to see some more excerpts of Matidio's life and what kind of crap I get up to in the day when I'm not doing this, then there's a link in the description to that, along with my Twitter and Facebook pages. So go and follow me there if you want to. Not a whole lot on there at the minute, but there will be as time goes on because I just set it up today. But yeah, like I said, guys, that's the end of today's video. So once again, thank you everybody so much for watching. Stay cool, and as always, I will catch you in the next video. Peace!